All right. Thank you for coming out for the that's going to come out for the live. This is the first one of our mayors. We had a fun talk with Mark a couple weeks ago. And we'll start off. We'll bring Jennifer on. We got the first one live. So we won't I won't delay any longer. This is Jennifer. She's currently sitting in our Ward 1 council. She's working on becoming the mayor for this year's election. So let's get her onto stage. And there we go. All right. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thanks for having me on, John. I'm looking forward to this.
That should be fun. So I know you from, well, being the Ward 1 counselor, and I'm in Ward 1. So we've ran into each other across the years. And I guess I'll get into it. Let's start off with a little bit about you before we get into why. And I'll let you talk.
Absolutely. All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, John. I really am looking forward to this. And it's the first one of the campaign season. So, yeah, looking forward to our conversation today. So, a little bit about me. I have a lifelong connection to agriculture. I was born and raised on a dairy farm, and my husband and I farm with our family here in Brant. We also have a dairy farm here. Carmen, my husband, and I have two children. They're teenagers now, so they definitely keep us busy in different ways than the little guys did when they were younger. But they definitely keep us busy. And I think what's important about that is that, you know, I've lived in Brant for 20 years since I got married, and I came down and joined Carmen on the farm here. And Brant is not just where I would hold elected office; it's my home. And it's the home that I hope that my kids will choose to live in and to carry on our family's legacy here with the farm. So I do have a very personal connection to and stake in the future of the community for sure. Outside of the farm, I have a 20-year career in the agribusiness sector. So I've worked for a number of different organizations over the 20 years, both provincial and national in scope. And for the last 9 years, I've worked for the Beef Farmers of Ontario, which is the provincial commodity association, we'll call it, for the beef sector here in the province. And in that role, our organization represents the 19,000 beef farmers in Ontario, and we do that in different ways. My role was really in public engagement and communications. So really working to translate messaging. So whether that is something from the office out to our producers, but more recently, and my bigger role is actually taking the information and the communications from the farm side, from the producer side, and translating that into information that the public, so that they can learn more about our industry, what we do on the farms, and that kind of thing. So kind of really playing that translator piece. Which is something that I've really done a lot throughout my career. And in addition to that, we do a lot of advocacy on behalf of our producers as well. With different levels of government, with other industry stakeholders, anything we can do to help to make the beef farmers in Ontario as productive and as successful as they can be, and that they have all of the information and resources at their fingertips in order to help them with that. And then in addition to that, I'm a pretty active community volunteer. I've done everything from 4-H and fair boards all the way down to T-ball, right up through my kids moving through the ranks of the different softball divisions. So yes, I've spent a lot of time on ball diamonds and helping with Brant Ag Awareness, with the Bite of Brant Committee, and some different organizations like that. In addition to that, I've also sat on the board of directors for Egscape for 8 years. I had to retire this year. I termed out, but yeah, that is our provincial agriculture in the classroom program.
Oh, okay.
So we work with our organization works with the different school boards throughout the province to get in front of the students with information about the agriculture and food sector, and really helps them to find their own place within our food system. So I've got sort of a bunch of different things on the go. And then obviously, as you mentioned, I also am a current sitting councillor on the representing Ward 1 on County of Brant Council. So that's a little bit about my background.
So time to sleep is none? Yeah.
Depends on the day. Yeah, depends on the day. I'm a pretty curious person by nature. Like to ask lots of questions. I like to be on the go. The old adage, if you want something done, you ask a busy person. I feel like that's sometimes me. Sometimes we need something done. Well, we'll call Jen. So yeah, I really like to do my homework to make sure I'm prepared for things. Listening to people comes with a lot of the experience that I've had has really allowed me to hone that, which is a really important quality when you are on council, whether you're the head of council or one of the councillors around the table. So yeah, I'm always really trying to find practical solutions, and once a decision is made, I really like being able to figure out how to explain it in ways that people can understand. So some folks may have seen my council musings videos that I did on my councillor page. So really trying to take what's complex and explain it in a way that people understand. So they understand how the decisions are being made, why they're being made, and in the end, whether or not they agree with the decision, at least they have a better understanding of how we arrived at it. So that's definitely a way how I kind of approach things. So, yeah.
Coming from IT, I have to do the same. Just
I bet.
So, yeah, nice. And then I guess the next questions are we got some viewers. Great. So for those online, if you want to post some pictures. Post questions, not pictures. Questions. We will bring them up later on. If I haven't covered them, I tried to get some general ones around. And I guess the next one I have is your past experience. How is that going to help you become mayor?
Yeah, so that's a great question, John. And I think I'd start with my municipal experience. So I was elected to council in 2022. So by the start of the next term, I'll have a full 4 years under my belt at the council table. So what I think that offers is a really good understanding of how municipal government actually works. So with having been around the table for the 4 years, we've been through the budgets, we've been through the meetings, we've been through different decisions, some complex, some high stakes, and also your everyday type resolutions and motions and things like that as well. And I think it gives you a really good insight into what's working, where maybe things aren't working and where we could make some improvements, and where things are working, but we're maybe not doing the greatest job of communicating them. So I think it gives a really good inside perspective that allows me to, I would hope, to hit the ground running a little quicker. You know where things are at with different files. You understand how the system works, how the meetings work, how to interact with the staff. I think that's another big piece, is that you're familiar with all the players around the table, not just at the council table, but within the organization, within the corporation of the County of Brant. So I think that does give some really good background understanding. In addition to that, I would also say that any move is new. So to suggest there wouldn't be a learning curve at all, absolutely is not the case. There's certainly going to be a learning curve because you never know what the full job entails until you're in it.
Right.
So I think that's where some of my professional experience also comes into play, and drawing on some of that experience. As I mentioned, I have 20 years of experience working with essentially all member and producer governed boards. So what that means is that most of the organizations that I've worked for throughout my career, they are funded by checkoff. So each member pays a certain amount for, so for, to use the example of Beef Farmers of Ontario, for every beef animal that's sold, they pay a certain amount to Beef Farmers of Ontario. So in a way, it's like a micro version of municipal tax, right?
Right.
So in my roles professionally, I've always been responsible for other people's money. And so your account, it gives you a certain level of accountability, because you need to be able to show value for the dollars that you spent, because you're spending someone else's money. So one story I always like to tell is that so one of my main responsibilities at Beef Farmers of Ontario is managing the marketing and advertising file. And I have to present that very marketing advertising industry lingo, all of the marketing strategies and plans. I have to present that to not just the board of directors, but also sometimes to the broader membership. And you have to be able to do that in a way that people understand, and so that they know how you're spending their money. So I always would say to them, hey guys, if you're seeing a billboard that is asking you to eat beef in Bruce County, that's probably not an effective use of your dollars, of your checkoff dollars, right? Because that's not who we're trying to reach with our advertising. So again, that's just a very small example of how you have to be accountable for other people's money in a lot of the organizations that I've worked throughout my career. And with that, we also do a lot of government relations. And so I've had the opportunity to advocate on behalf of the beef farmers, of the ag sector more broadly, as well as, and we can touch on this in a little bit, but with the South Central Ontario Region Economic Development Corporation. So, so with that, having mentioned SCORE, we call it for short, because that is a mouthful. I definitely have bring some experience from my time spent on that board as well. So SCORE, for those that don't know, is an organization that is made up of Brant, Norfolk, Oxford, Middlesex, and Elgin counties, and it came about when the tobacco industry was basically dissolved. So there was this Sand Plains Fund that was set up to help with some regional economic development. And so that's how this board was born. And so with my time with SCORE, I've had the opportunity to do a lot of advocacy on behalf of not just Brant, but the region, and how does Brant fit within that region. And so I think that's important too, not just for the experience of being able to do that, but also with the connections that I've made with some of those other regional representatives as well. And we're all kind of working towards the same goals, right? And that's the nice thing about that group. Like, yes, it's 5 counties, but they're 5 counties with similar challenges, similar goals, similar populations. So we have the benefit of having representing in and around 1 million people, whereas Brant on our own, our voice isn't as big. So you have the benefit of having the people behind you, but still being nimble with just 5 voices around the table, that we can find some consensus and move forward on some advocacy that we can do jointly, which is excellent. And I think that so if I think about being the mayor and what that means, the mayor isn't a CEO that's issuing orders. They aren't the CAO that is directing the staff. They're the head of council, and they are the one that is to bring the councillors around the table together to make decisions in the best interest of the community, which sets the direction. Then our CAO then implements that direction with the staff. So the mayor is one vote, and I really truly believe that should be that is the case, and it should remain the case. So the mayor needs to be able to build relationships, which is something that I've really worked hard at through my entire life and through my entire professional career. I'm a relationship builder, so I do think that will benefit me in the role of mayor, because I do spend a lot of time trying to bring people together, find consensus, let's move forward together, and not dictate my own ideas. I prefer to pitch an idea, hope that you get consensus around the table and everyone
Yeah.
agrees, and then we move it along together. So I think it's the combination that's important in terms of my experience and how that benefits me being a mayor, a great mayor, as your question asked. So I think, it's the municipal experience, it's the 20 years of professional and governance experience that I have, and then a lifetime of community involvement as well, which really helps to build those bridges. I understand the job. I've watched Mayor Bailey doing it for the last 4 years, and mayors and previous to that as well. Municipal politics has always been an interest of mine. But I also bring that perspective well beyond the council chamber, which I think is really important.
That's good. Okay, yeah, because I've been looking on with the whole. As I did one post, and I was like, "Hey, the mayor is like the CEO of the company, because you gotta work together, and you gotta the board, like the public board, is us." So I'm like, it's kind of like that. But then I was like, look online, and it's like some people, because of strong mayor, say it essentially is the CEO, and they can just do whatever they want. So
Yeah.
that's I think that's also the one thing to debate along this time with that. So yeah, and definitely a good take on that. So my next question, I think you've already covered all of that because it was mostly rural and agriculture, which is, well, your background. So
Yep.
I'll see how the other other candidates also answer that question. And then yeah, for you, for the first year, you're gonna have that learning curve for the first year if you get elected. But what would you like to see done that might have been not been a priority in the last 4 years? I know that the dig in Paris is a big thing, and the digging in St. George will be the next fairly big thing that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you thinking about the first year? It was just like any job interview. Well, they say 5 years. I'm going to go with first year because things change too quickly.
Yep. No, that's fair. Yeah. So I think in terms of the first year, there's a few different things. The first would be to really build that functioning council. So my thought would be to be meeting with each of the individual councillors to really understand what their priorities are, what their communities that they represent, what they're hearing and seeing, and where they see the opportunities and challenges, because they will have been out on the campaign trail as well, and some may be returning, and then we'll have some new faces as well. So every one of those voices brings different perspectives to the table. So I think it's important to get to know each of them and what they're hoping to bring to the table from their respective communities. I think from there, really establishing a collaborative and respectful culture is good. I really would like to set that tone early on, so that when people know when we're in the meetings, like that's the way we're going to roll. We're going to be respectful. We're going to be collaborative. And I mean, for the most part, I would say that our council has been that. So so I don't really foresee any major changes with that. But again, when you have new voices around the table, new perspectives, new personalities, definitely setting that tone, I think, is really important. Again, just to kind of reiterate what I mentioned before, the mayor is one vote, one voice. So they can't accomplish everything alone. So consensus, it doesn't necessarily require unanimous, but it does require lots of discussion, lots of debate, lots of respectful debate, and eventually ultimately coming to a consensus and moving forward with whatever that decision is. So I personally have no intention of using strong mayor powers. That's one thing I do really respect how Mayor Bailey has handled throughout his time since that came about a couple of years ago. So I would be looking to do that as well. I don't think it's appropriate for the mayor to be trying to circumvent council for any reason. So we want the decisions to be collective and collaborative. So I think second to the kind of that culture piece, for me, I'm not going to pretend we're starting from zero. Again, maybe that comes with the advantage of being in the mix right now and really knowing what things are going on. But we've got some really important work already underway. We've worked really hard on the long-term financial plan. There's this, you mentioned the St. George, the wastewater treatment infrastructure. There's going to be some coming for Paris as well. There's roads and bridges that are being both assessed and constructed and that kind of thing. We've got emergency services. We've got economic development stuff that's constantly on the go, and growth planning, which seems unending at times.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll touch on a little bit later, but the hospital, and we've obviously got some ongoing housing and community needs. So I think it's important to recognize that we aren't starting at zero, but also to do a really good assessment of what's working so we can continue to build on it, what's not, so that we can start to implement some changes sooner than later. And then what's missing? Is there anything we're not doing that we really should be? So I think, in my opinion, a new mayor doesn't have to tear up good work just because they've come in. A good mayor should be able to come in, assess things, see what needs changing, what's working, what's not, and then hit the ground running with their council to start getting to work right away. So, and then beyond that, one of the things that really I would really like to work on is the communication piece. I would really like to implement some regular mayor updates to the community. So again, kind of speaking to that, more regularly, explaining things that are more complex in ways that everyone can understand so that people know what's going on. Because it's one of the things that I hear all the time is, well, we didn't know, you know, we'll go through a whole process for something, and you get to the end and we make a decision. And then that's when people come out and say, well, I didn't know this was happening. And you're like, So
started this a couple months ago.
Yeah, or sometimes like years ago, depending on what the decision is, right? So, so yeah, I would really like to find ways to improve that so that people are getting the information that they need when they need it. They know where to go to find it. Trying to really like simplify some things that are complex that I hear complaints about all the time. So yeah, I'd really like to kind of beef up that plain language, everyday language communication piece from the mayor's office. So I think that would be helpful. And then, of course, I mentioned a little bit about it, but with a lot of the big things that Brant has coming down the pipe, a lot of it hinges on really good relationships. So that's relationships with other municipal neighbors and partners, with other levels of government. So that's one of the things that I would be working on right away, is to really try to firm up some of those relationships with some of those key players that we need around the table, because I would want to make sure that we've got Brant positioned in the best possible position to get the funding that we need to do those projects that we know our community needs. So for sure, that would be some of my early work, would be really working on some of those relationship pieces as well. So my first year wouldn't necessarily start with a list of things that I want to undo. It would start by building a strong council, and then following that with really kind of building on the good work that's already being done, fixing what isn't working, obviously, and then making sure that residents really understand what council is, what decisions we're making and why we're making them.
Okay, nice. I think I'm going to take a break from the questions I thought, because just in case nobody asks questions. So let's bring out Mike's question. I think I can pop it out at the bottom of the screen. I think it is. Yeah, build infrastructure, which for me, infrastructure is internet, but that's because I'm IT, which also I would like better in St. George, but you guys don't control that. But anyways, so yeah, roads and accommodate all the buildings. Okay, I'm going by because I was at the BA meeting. That there was a plan. I don't know how that's going, but because we were supposed to dig up Highway 5 by now. But yeah, Bill Paris, back to his question. As Paris is a prime example of bringing people before the roads, St. George cannot support all the new buildings without the roads. move people on our downtown intersection, downtown, well, and it cannot support this volume, which I'm going to go back to my business association meetings. That's part of the plan. Come up to the next meetings that we have. We're going to have some more planned out. But what's your take on this? I will put that question out. Thanks, Mike, for the question. That's great.
Yeah, I think if there is one thing we've learned from Paris, that it absolutely does feel like the horse was put before the cart, and that's where I think those relationships really become key, because we have learned as a municipality, we have learned from what's gone on with Paris and that big boom of people, and suddenly there's all these houses and we don't have the infrastructure to support it. And I would go so far as to say not just the physical infrastructure like the roads, but also the social infrastructure as well. Like I could go on for hours about school spaces and that kind of thing too. So so yeah, I think the advantage that we have in St. George is that we have the advantage of that experience in Paris. And to this point, the growth has not really went forward because we're waiting on that wastewater piece in St. George. So that has really limited the growth, which has already kind of slowed it down. And then once that comes online, which they anticipate about 2027, then you'll start to see some of the houses go in. But it'll be a much more methodical way that they have to do that, just because of the way that the wastewater treatment plant is built and then allocated, the servicing is allocated. So we shouldn't see that same giant boom that we did in Paris. So then that also then affords us the opportunity to do a better job of keeping pace with that growth in terms of what we need, whether that's roads, whether that's schools, whether that's community centers, dog park even. I know there's folks in St. George that would like the dog park. So I think we have an opportunity to better manage the growth in St. George. And a big piece of that is ensuring that the infrastructure is in place before the houses get there. So yes, if we have the houses coming, at some point we're probably going to need a new school. So let's plan now where we think that could be. There's obviously going to be, with more people, more need for even some more commercial things, maybe doctor's offices and other services and retail that folks would maybe want to have in the village as well. So yeah, I don't have the perfect answer for it because obviously there's all kinds of factors that play in. Like you mentioned, they're supposed to dig up Highway 5. That's kind of waiting, so we don't have the north end and Highway 5 dug up at the same time. So there's some strategic players there to make sure that we're trying to be as we know that anything like that is going to be inconvenient, so we try to limit the inconvenience as best we can within the parameters that we have, understanding that sometimes there is funding that has to be used by a certain time, sometimes there's contractors that are only available at certain times, so there's other factors at play. There's other factors at play, but yes, we do understand that with the growth coming to St. George, there is going to be a need for more infrastructure. So that is certainly something that we're looking at on the St. George side. At least there's not the river kind of running through, which I think that's really even further compounded what feels like complete chaos in Paris, because there is sort of only the two ways across the river. Yes, Mike, we definitely hear you, and it's an ongoing discussion as to how we make sure that infrastructure keeps pace, so that we don't run into the same problems we had in Paris.
Also, if you're still here, Mike, join follow the St. George Business Association page. We're having upcoming meetings about this, and we'll bring in somebody from the planning department and to talk about it. And I know on the business side, there are people that are looking for business places to rent out. So it'll be great for that side, because I know some people want to set up shop here in St. George, but we are out of space we don't have any more buildings. So that's on the BA side. So another quick question from Junior. I guess kind of going on the question a couple questions ago. What separates you from the other candidates, other than filled on council, and we know the rest of that. So
Yeah. That's a little bit of a hot question, but
yes. What separates you from the other candidates?
Yeah. No, I think in terms of what separates me from the other candidates, I mean, we're still waiting to learn about the platforms of a lot of them. So
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily fair to really go full
No
force
debate
on that.
right now. Yeah, not
Right,
yet.
because we don't know. I
Right.
haven't seen the platforms of the other ones, but what I would say is that I'm coming from a place where I don't believe that Brant is broken. Are there things that we need to fix? Absolutely. There's no such thing as something that is perfect. And
Right.
to be honest, I was always the kid. If I got like 99% on like a French test in school, I was like, how do I get that extra 1%? Right. Like, so
All right.
I'm always striving for perfection sometimes. But I think that we are in a really good place, especially, I mean, I can only speak to the 4 years that I've been on council, but our council has worked really hard to get Brant into a really good financial position, to get a really good handle on our asset management and some of those other pieces that are really going to help us to look further down the road and make decisions with the future in mind. So I think because of that, like I mentioned before, I don't come in and intend to tear things down and start again. My goal is to build onto what's already working well, improve what's not, and I think that maybe sets me apart because I do have that positive outlook. I think Brant is in a really great place. I love living here. I want other people to love living here, and so I want to work with council to see if we can't get it to be an even better version of what it is today, because I'm a firm believer that you leave things better when you leave than what they were when you arrived. And I think that's what I would intend to do. I think Brant's in a good place now, but there's definitely more we can do to make it even better. So I think my platform, any of the things that I've talked about in my platform, and I'd encourage anyone, if you'd like to do some light reading, jenniferkyle.ca has my full platform there. But you'll see that a lot of what I've got there is built around that premise that, hey, we're on a good path, but just because we're on a good path doesn't mean we need to stop steering. So so I would say that's something I think that sets me apart from my other colleagues or other opponents, I guess we would say, other candidates in the race.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious one is that I am the current councillor in the race, but I think there's beyond just being the current councillor that sets me apart.
Sounds good. Hopefully that answers Junior's question. I'm gonna skip one of the other questions because we kind of covered over the public engagement, like the getting the word out. That's one of your goals already. So, and then I guess the next thing is kind of another hot topic, and then we'll see if any more questions come up. Is the hospital. I guess everybody hates paying for things, but we need to pay for things and that. And there's also those signs I've seen around town and around the county that we need a hospital now. It was 1% that we have from what I know, we have a 10-year plan. But of course we need to raise the money. We can't win the lottery and have a hospital built tomorrow. It's not that fast, so of course there's planning, but that was, I guess, one of those infrastructures that would have been nice to have planned before all the houses being built. But I know you got to talk about it in the budget and that stuff. What are your takes, and what's information? Because as you know as well, as not everybody knows about this either. They just saw the tax bill and maybe grumbled a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And the hospital question is definitely a good question. And obviously it is very hot topic. So I think absolutely we need a new hospital, and we needed the new hospital yesterday or before. But so it's important to remember that the municipality doesn't build healthcare infrastructure like hospitals. We don't build schools. So what we can do is we can advocate on behalf of the community to get those pieces in place, which is something that both the County of Brant and the City of Brantford, in conjunction with the hospital board and public health and some of those other groups, we've definitely been doing that. And so the good news is we do have the new hospital coming finally. So that is excellent news. So what folks may not necessarily know or understand is that even though the province is responsible for building the hospitals, there is a local component to the cost that gets put onto the municipality. So that works out to be roughly about 10% of the costs of the project. So if we think about the costs of building hospitals these days, even 10% is a pretty significant chunk of change, and most certainly for a smaller municipality like the County of Brant. So yes, so folks may have seen that we do have the 1% levy on the tax bill, and that's specifically going into that hospital reserve, because the challenge is we've got this hospital coming, we know it's coming, but what we don't know yet is how much it's going to cost. And because we don't know how much it's going to cost, we don't know how much our local share is. And the local share, the 10%, would be, of course, split between the City of Brantford and the County of Brant. And there's formulas to determine that based on population and that kind of thing. But we don't know what our cost is. We just know it's going to be a lot. Yeah. The idea behind the levy is to just ensure that we've got that money going into reserve on a continuous basis, so that when the bill does come, we're not saying, okay, residents, now we have this $100 million bill that we have to pay. We've hopefully got a good chunk of it kind of set aside so that it's not that big sticker shock right away. So we did establish that reserve in 2023. And so the levy, though, it only went into place in 2025. So 2026 is just the second year of that. So I think the first year we put in about 720,000 with that 1% levy. And so then with this year's amount that came off the levy for 2026, that reserve is sitting at about 1.68, just based on what we've pulled in from the levy, which is, I mean, if it ends up being $100 million bill that we have, that 1.6 doesn't seem like we're getting very far very fast, but we've got to start, and we had to start somewhere, because we know this hospital is coming. We hope sooner than later. But I think the bigger question, John, if I kind of get to the root of what you're asking about the hospital, is less about the actual, like, the structure, but more about the communication of it. Because you mentioned that, people may not know. They open up their tax bill and they see that they're paying this. They don't necessarily appreciate what it's for or why it's there. So I think it's a really good example of where we can communicate better. We know that the hospital is going to require a really significant local contribution. We don't know what that is yet, but we know it's coming. And so rather than waiting till that bill arrives, like I said, council made the decision to start building that dedicated reserve. So that money, when it comes in, doesn't go to anything else. It strictly goes into a reserve that is specific for the hospital build. So I think that's important to understand. And it's also important to understand that that 1% levy is cumulative. So we started it in 2025, and as I mentioned, about $720,000 went in that first year. That became part of our base for that reserve. And so then this year, another 1% adds roughly about 810, give or take, thousand. So then we're progressively increasing each year as we're putting it aside, which is good. And so I think that, personally, I think that's really responsible long-term financial planning. We're preparing for something we know is going to be an obligation, and we don't yet know what the cost is, but we know it's going to be big. So putting that money aside now lets us be in a better position once we do know what that final bill is going to be. So I think, like I said, it's a good example of where we could probably have done a better job communicating that to residents. So that's one of the things, like when I was talking earlier about wanting to do more communications from the mayor's office and that kind of thing, that's something that I think would benefit from that type of communication piece, just to make sure people truly understand what they're being charged for on their bills.
No, sounds good. Yeah, it's definitely something that we need, but yeah, the infrastructure question all the way, go big circle.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Yes, exactly. I was trying to figure out what kind of numbers there are, because I know with my work we raised money to get chairs, because that's part of the community thing, and we raised money to help get a cancer's chair. I think I'm guessing there's
Yeah.
an official word to it, but yeah, for one of the local hospitals there. So
Yeah.
that was a fun initiative.
Well,
So hopefully some more corporations around here kind of help with that too. But we'll
yeah,
see.
well, that is a really good point, John, because my understanding is, so the provincial government builds the hospital.
Yeah.
But it's the local community that actually outfits it with all of the things, right? Like all of
All
the,
the tools.
which is why, you have the hospital that with their gala fundraiser, they'll have a particular piece of equipment that they're fundraising for, like to exactly your point, right? Because it's up to the community to try and put the the stuff in it.
If we want,
The province builds the building, but it's we put the people and the equipment and stuff in it. So
if we want the latest tech, then we need to help raise the money for the latest tech.
Absolutely.
So, geez, it's already 12:40. Time's flying. Let's. I think I'm going to wrap it up with how to follow you and that stuff later. But let's. We got Megan's got a question about the mayor, strong mayors again. That we caught. Let me throw that on the stage. I think. Yes, allows your override council at certain decisions. Kind of talked about that and that, and authority can give you the example of kind of situation you believe would be justified. We kind of talked about that, but I'll let you answer, Megan.
Yeah, great question, Megan. So personally, I don't think there's a situation where it is warranted. There are so with the strong mayor power legislation, there are a couple of obligations. One of them being the mayor is the one who has to present the budget. But outside of that, I would not be using the strong mayor powers whatsoever. My plan would be similar to how Mayor Bailey has done it this term, to delegate whatever possible back to council, to the CAO, as it would have been historically done. The premise of the strong mayor powers, they were put in place by the province essentially to help speed up housing starts, and that's certainly something here in Brant we don't need to worry about. We've definitely been doing our fair share of housing, building homes. So yeah, I have absolutely no desire or see any use for the strong mayor powers to override council. In my opinion, as I mentioned before, the mayor is the head of council. It's their job to get the debate and the discussion going around the council table, and to have each one of the elected individuals around the table cast their vote. And it's consensus of the group that is what should drive the municipality forward, because that ensures that hopefully the most community voices are represented, right? Like if you're going to have a mayor come in and just unilaterally make decisions and, hire and fire people and create committees and dismantle committees and appoint people onto committees, then why do we have an elected council, right? Like,
yep.
In my opinion, democracy works best when we have as many voices around the table as we can. So yeah, I absolutely would not be using the strong mayor powers, and I honestly can't think of a situation where it would be warranted.
Unless we won $1 million and we have a hospital. No.
$1 million really wouldn't put a dent in it, John.
Yeah, one of the things, we need it now. But anyways, yeah. So let's get back to your campaign. So I know you're having an open house tomorrow, right? That's tomorrow. I put it up on the site. If there's any more events, send them my way. I'll throw them up, just like any of the other candidates as well. So do you have a get together? How many you're doing, or are you looking for, like, you have any planned? Looking for invites, essentially, or just kind of yeah.
Yeah,
Where can people find you?
Yeah, so combination. So yeah, you
Right.
mentioned tomorrow we're going to be at the Windmill in Mount Pleasant from 9:30 to 11:30. So absolutely, if anyone is either in the Mount Pleasant area or looking for something to do tomorrow morning, feel free to stop in. But yeah, so our goal is over the next few weeks to try and have something scheduled for each of the wards. So we're trying to get something planned in each of the wards. In addition to that, I've reached out to a number of folks. Like, I am always happy to do, even if you've got 3 or 4 neighbors and you want me to come and have a chit chat with you on somebody's porch, that's fine with me. So yeah, we're doing some door knocking. We're out and about at different events. So I will definitely be around the Paris Fair a fair bit, the Africara Brant. I imagine Burford Fair, Apple Fest, any of the bigger community events will definitely be out and about at. And yeah, happy to have one-on-one chats, or if someone is interested in getting a group together, or formal or informal is totally their prerogative. But yeah, I'm open to connecting with people however they would like to connect with me. Always available for phone calls, emails, text messages, whatever people are comfortable with is fine with me. And yeah, we will be continuing to try and get some meet and greets planned, and different little pop-up events where we can promote where we'll be, and then hopefully people can have a chance to stop by and ask their questions or share their concerns or what their vision is for the county, because I'm always open to hearing what other people's perspectives are as well. I'm not going to claim to have all the answers and all the right ideas, right? Like, I've got my ideas of where I think we should be going, but obviously that is ultimately going to be really informed by the more people that I talk to and the more questions they ask and the more concerns that they share, so that we can really find the best way forward.
Yeah, nice. If anybody else has questions, I think we're gonna run for a couple more minutes. I have another interview at 1 o'clock, so I'll have to cut it off a little before that. But yes, I see Junior has another question. I think I'm trying to get it, that he's wondering if you're participating in political parties in the province. I think you. Is that the question? Let me bring that up. How are you handling candidates misinformation and in comments, candidates posting on I will let you answer that.
Yeah, so kind of a 2-part answer. So as far as the misinformation and disinformation, I've really been trying to keep my focus on my own campaign, and what I think we can do for Brant if I'm elected as the mayor. So I haven't been paying too much attention. I mean, there's some things that get brought up to me from time to time, but yeah, I mean, if there's something that's really egregiously incorrect or that kind of thing, then absolutely I would try in a way to make sure that people have the correct information without trying to wade into. I have zero interest in any sort of back and forth between opponents, and that is not my style. I like to stay focused on Brant and what we can do with Brant and for Brant together. So definitely I'm kind of trying to stay in my own lane, and absolutely if somebody has some incorrect information, then I can definitely point them in the right direction. But as far as the political parties, it's an interesting question, and I remember knocking on doors when I was campaigning to be councillor and having similar questions. People wanted to know like how I vote provincially or federally. And what really drew me to municipal politics is the fact that it is nonpartisan. I'm kind of one of those people that doesn't really fit into any one box. I have heard great and terrible ideas from pretty much all parties. I am very much the person who votes for the person, not the party. So I'll look at all the candidates and try and determine which one I think is the best for our community. That said, I also think that with there being with municipal politics being nonpartisan, it's also important to stay away from any of the party politics, because municipalities are creatures of the province and the provinces are creatures of the federal government, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have to work with our other elected officials at, with at the provincial level and the federal level, and they could change, right? Like it might be the same, It might be somebody that I voted for, it might not be. So to me, it's really important to maintain that nonpartisan nature of municipal politics, because we have to be able to set aside whatever our personal views are to get into a room and do what's best for our community and work with everyone to accomplish that. It's funny, I have heard that you hear all kinds of interesting things when you're out on the campaign trail, and things about, well, so and so told me this about you, and I think what's interesting is I have a sister who is as NDP as they come. She literally ran for the NDP. I have a dad who bleeds conservative blue. My mom is as liberal as they come. I have a cousin who is a diehard PPC purple. So literally, I mean, if I guess I'm all of them, right? like they're.
Yeah.
I think that shows that we can. All of our family can have different political stripes and different political opinions, and we can all sit at the Christmas table and we get along fine, and we can support each other. And yeah, you know what? Maybe I don't support the NDP, but if my sister's going to run, absolutely, I'm going to be like, you go, right? or and I would say that for anyone, right? So yeah, I definitely have no affiliation with any of the parties. I prefer to keep it that way because I really have a vested interest in the municipal side of things, and I truly believe that it is nonpartisan for a reason and needs to remain that way. So I don't think dragging in any sort of party politics into it is helpful.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm pretty sure you answered Junior's question there. Thank you. And then, we got about 4 or 5 minutes left. Anybody else has any questions? We got a couple people online still, which is great. Sticking around, having a lunch and learn maybe. What are you having for lunch? No. I guess the couple more minutes if we don't have anything. Question is, right. I know you have your website. You're on Facebook. You're on Instagram. I guess how can the county follow you? If they want to get more information on you. Of course, I will try and post if there's anything I see, but I am just one person, so we'll go from there. Let's kind of do a little bit of a wrap up, and I don't think we have any more questions. So let's. I'll let you have the stage. I will have you do your little, let's say, 2-minute wrap up there.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yes, absolutely. For anyone that wants to follow along, Facebook, Instagram, or my website, jenniferkyle.ca. That's the best way to find out more about me. But by all means, please give me a call or send me an email. Whatever suits you is fine with me. I think what I would like people to kind of be left with from our conversation today is that Brant is at a really important point. We are growing. We are making some of the largest infrastructure investments that this community has ever made. And the decisions that we make over the course of the next 4 years are going to affect Brant for decades to come. I often like to say that we're the current council of today, but really we're the council for like 10, 20, 30 years down the road at times, because we really are making decisions that impact the long-term nature of the community. So I bring experience from having spent those 4 years around the council table, but also those 20 years of experience in my professional and governance and community experience that really, it helps me to understand the work that is underway. I'm prepared to make difficult decisions, and I really believe that very strongly in the collaborative leadership approach, and that we need to work together. We need to work as the 11 voices around the table to make the best decisions for the future of our community. And I really, truly believe that we need to improve and have better communications with our residents so that they really feel heard and that they really feel as though they are having the input in helping to guide those decisions that we're making. So, and most importantly, I would say that I'm incredibly optimistic about this community. I think Brant has tremendous opportunities ahead of us, and I would be very proud to lead us through what's ahead and to work together to really build a stronger Brant.
Yeah, I'll pop back in. Thank you. That was a great wrap up. Thank you for coming online. It's fairly early, but you've also had your name in that since May. So
Yep.
now it's the full race time. So congratulations for running. I look forward to the next updates, and maybe we will have a chat again, and maybe we can get all 6 people on and go from there. But good luck on your campaign, and I will see you around town. And thank you for everybody that's joined online, and anybody that's going to watch the recording afterwards, just in case you're busy at this time. Lucky, great thing about Facebook and, and YouTube. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. This has been great.
Thanks. Have a great one. Bye.